Standpoint of being able to figure out, you know, the stuff that matters, which you just come out here and you install and you practice, and there's no whistles, and you don't know if it's a negative play or a positive play or whatever. Just move on to the next one. But in a live situation, you kind of get yourself a little more familiar with where you're at as a unit. And had way too many negative plays, way too many sacks, that sort of thing. But you know, we'll just keep addressing it and keep talking to them about situational stuff, about the stuff that actually matters in offensive football.
There were a lot more running plays on Saturday. Was that just because of the weather? Or you wanted to try out your running game a little bit more?
We call plays, you know, and we were running the ball okay, you know, so we kept running it. The weather was a challenge, obviously. I don't know who was here, but it was raining fairly hard. We ran the ball 50% of the time and threw the ball 50% of the time. So depending on how games go, that may be the case, that may not be the case.
What was your thoughts on ball handling with the weather conditions?
It was just okay. We had one fumble, but we had the ball on the ground probably 4 times, which is way too many. In 68 snaps, we turned it over twice. What I addressed with them was the ball actually being on the ground 5 times, which is too much.
You had talked before about Tyler Urban being your most consistent receiver. So is that still the case?
Yep, even more so today. You know, we moved Stedman Bailey outside because him and Tyler were playing the same spot, and they were, in our opinion, as a coaching staff, 2 of the top 4 guys. So we moved Stedman out, and he had a great practice, and that means Tyler played a little bit more, and he had a great practice.
What about Ivan? Are things coming to him a little better now, or has he still got a ways to go?
He's working hard. Got a long ways to go, as they all do. But he's working hard, and we're happy with his, you know, with his effort, and his want-to, and his, you know, his body language and all the rest. He's got a long ways to go, but he's doing some good things.
Are you seeing any more consistency out of J.D. Woods?
No.
Bradley Starks factor.
I don't know who Starks is. He's still on our team. No, I love Bradley Starks. He was doing good things, but it's all about what we got to do to piece together the next practice. And we felt like that was the best thing to do to you know, put people in position, put the best guys out there. That will continue to get evaluated and more than likely change over the course of the next 6 months.
How much more are you trying to open up your playbook with sort of each passing week?
It's all in, just trying to get better at what's in.
Does it please you to hear the players say that the offense is simple? I mean, which they seem to be saying that it's. I mean, is that what you're shooting for, and why? Because
if they feel like it's simple, then we can start worrying about the things that make them good players. You know, which is not thinking, but it's more about the technique and, you know, effort and repping and getting comfortable and timing and all the rest. So we don't want them thinking. We want them playing good. And the less thinking they do, the more we can coach them to play good.
McCartney said something that was interesting. He said that one of the differences between here and high school is that there were many more plays in high school. And I mean,
you got to call his coach.
When you go to a game, do you in your mind think you go in with less of a playbook ready than some teams, or less number of plays? Or?
Probably so. You know, I think we've simplified it to the point to where we got a lot of different ways of doing the same thing. You know, to where just because there may be one receiver lined up, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, if we call one play, they're all doing the same thing. You know, they have the same responsibilities. So I think we have enough plays. I mean, I could draw up twice as many more and put in twice as many more as we got. I just don't feel like that's necessary.
One's enough if it scores. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and if it scores, you probably call it again, right?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
What about formations, though? That you add those as you go, right? Off the plays?
They're pretty much in. I mean, we can do some stuff with, you know, I haven't done anything with tight ends right now just because we don't have any. I mean, if we had 3 tight ends laying around, we'd probably use a couple of tight end sets, but we don't have any. So, you know, last year we ran a tight end set probably 5% of the time, but it's hard to do that when you don't have them.
You guys mentioned, too, that reading is a big part of what you do, and they appreciate that. Are you seeing them connecting between the quarterbacks and wide receivers? Are you seeing that a little bit?
At times, and the more they play together, which we're talking about 5 more practices. We're talking about all summer. We're talking about 29 days in camp. The more they do it, the more that they get on the same page, the more, it makes sense, and the quarterback knows when they're going to break a right off and when they're not going to break a right off and that sort of thing, and they get on the same page. And that's when you start getting good in this offense, is when they kind of know where each other's going.
Defensive guys mentioned, too, and even though this has only been a short time here, that your offense is very hard to determine. They can't tip off things. That's very confusing to them. You really haven't gotten into it. Can you speak to that a little bit? Is that what you try to do, to confuse people a little bit?
We try to make it all look the same. We try, we self-scout ourselves. We have for years, and we know what the tendencies are, and we try to fix them. And then we'd go into a new place or a new year. You do what you can to try to fix what the tendencies were that you had the previous year. So, we're definitely trying to focus on not having any, which is hard, but you do your best with it.
How much better are you now as a teacher than you were, say, maybe in 2008 or one of the previous stops you've made?
Oh, I don't know. I think, probably a better teacher due to the fact that it makes more sense, because in this is the 3rd time in 4 years we've installed it, and we feel like we've made adjustments to how we install it and how we call it due to it making sense to the guys that are listening to it. So due to simplifying it and it making a little bit more sense, probably makes you a better teacher.
You talk about how the staff has kind of come together through the first 3 weeks. Robert Gillespie was saying you guys already added another play in one of the, I believe, in the diamond formation since you guys have been here. Is that a credit to how this staff has come together?
Yeah, we don't have to meet as much, which is good. We get more time with our kids. We meet with our players more. We don't have to. Previous stops, I would have to meet the whole offense a lot. Whereas now I don't have to do that as much due to these other guys being on the same page as me, So by not having as much time taken up with the meetings and stuff, it allows us to get our hands on these guys and watch more film and teach more and all the rest. So, yeah, it's been good.
Darren Roberts settling in pretty good now, too. He's obviously a newcomer to your staff.
Yeah, which he's brought a lot of good knowledge from, like, a defensive angle, because he's been coaching DBs for 4 years. So, he's hearing the other side of it right now, which he can attribute to a lot of the stuff that we're saying and translate it into what they're thinking on the other side. So he's been good to bounce some ideas off that way. And then he just needs to sit and learn and watch and listen, and the more he's around it, the more familiar he'll become with it.
How would you assess the quarterback so far?
Good. Gino's. He's very competitive. His attitude's good. His body language is good. He's learning. And the more he learns mentally, the better it's going to look for him. Paul is still a little slower from a mental standpoint, just due to the fact that he's just brand new. Doesn't have any game experience here. But once he gets the ball, then he typically knows where to go with it.
Coach, this is several times you mentioned body language out here, and even the players. McCartney says one of the things he's got to work on is body language. Could you explain a little bit about what all that's about?
Yeah, we put it in these. We figured this out last year. It's the difference in lethargic and vivacious. All right, which lethargic, it's just and that's not what you're looking for. You want guys with bounce, that have energy, that line up quick and are anxious and alert and ready to go out there and make a play.
Are you interested in how smart these guys, particular guys, might be? Obviously you're 3 times installing this thing, but have you found supple sort of minds here to grasp it?
I think their football knowledge is fine. It's everybody has the mental capacity here at this point in time to be able to absorb what we're doing and be able to get it done. Now we're working on the classroom aspect of things, which isn't so good right now. We're trying to make that a little better.
When you're talking about the communication aspect, what's Geno Smith doing that and is impressing you as far as that is concerned?
He just does it quick. He watches and he talks and he bounces around and gets it all communicated, and he's good with hand signals and makes sure everybody's on the same page, and then hurries up and snaps it.
In terms of reps, I mean, would you say it's about 50-50 between Gino and Paul right now?
Yeah, right now it is.
That's a departure from what Gino had last year. I mean, he was in a lot more than, excuse me, either the backups or, I mean, if you could talk about the importance of kind of getting that even split and having Paul get as many as Gino is right now.
Well, you need a backup quarterback, you know, and because Paul is so inexperienced, we feel like the best thing right now is just to give him 50-50. As we get closer to game time and camp, then we'll start giving the starter more, which right now would obviously be Gino.
Dana, Jeff was talking about going against pass as often as he does in these things with your offense. On the other side, is it prohibitive at all, playing against that odd front and the 5 safeties doing what you need to do?
Yeah, there's two sides of the ball, and as coordinators, then, you know, and he's one of the best in the business, and he's trying to manufacture looks that he needs. Well, same thing goes on our end. We're trying to manufacture looks that we need, you know, which that's football. You look at any program across the country, they're going to not get the looks that they need every day, you know, based on the fact that in college football, especially in the spring, there's not enough bodies to go around to develop scout teams and all the rest. You got to do whatever you got to do to manufacture those looks, and us offensively ain't no different. I mean, we're going to face teams that play 4-down linemen, which we have seen 0 snaps, but that doesn't concern me right now. What concerns me is just speed of the game and learning what to do and playing football, you know, from a technique aspect more than obsessing over, oh my God, if we don't get a 4-down look today, we're not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to function come Marshall game.
Has it get a lot of action and speed? Has it kept you from doing anything or slowed anything down, or is it just you had to work around it and then you figured out you went from there?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is on all these installation days, you call plays and you get them on film. You go inside and you look at them and you make sure that these guys are headed in the right direction. Now, like I said, the closer you get to actually having to play in a game that counts, which, you know, if we lose the blue gold game, which I don't know if we're going to lose that, it really doesn't matter. But when you get to a point where you're playing a game that counts, you better have your guys ready from a look standpoint. Well, that's camp. You have more bodies, you have scout teams, you have plenty of time to be able to manufacture the looks that you need to be able to be prepared to play in the game.
How can you teach it when you don't see it? I mean, in the time now before the scout team, before you can put in those 4-man fronts and kind of run your offense against it, how do you teach the guys what to look for and what they should be?
You don't. I mean, right now you play football, you know, and technique and assignment are way more important than obsessing over that. So you're asking the wrong guy if you think I'm worried about it.
Have you asked your quarterbacks to study film of your team like last year? Or,
yep, we have a lot.
You have a lot of that they watch. So,
yeah.
So they're getting some look at that against Stephen fronts and that.
Oh yeah. Which again, I mean, we that's why you meet, and we were able to meet a lot with them prior to spring, and we went over a lot of the different fronts and the calls and all that stuff, and then you get out here and you just play and you get it on tape and you go in and you watch it from an assignment standpoint, a technique standpoint, you coach effort, and you teach them what it's like to be in the red zone. You teach them what the mentality is on 3rd downs, and you get really mad when they turn the ball over. I mean, just the things that are all important in football. And so you worry about that stuff, and you don't worry about the stuff that you can't control at this point.
What was your thought on O-line play? What did you think studying the tape there from Saturday?
Been good. It's been good. We're still in a that lineup will change a lot, and right now we're just trying to piece it together because there's 10 bodies. But once we add 4 freshmen and 2 hurt guys, into the equation, then it could look different come August. So right now, just teach them all what to do and evaluate who they are and what they're capable of, and do your best to plug them into the right spots.
How about the outside guys filling in for the 2 hurt guys? How do they do?
They're doing okay. You gotta take it for what it's worth when you got Bruce Irvin coming off the edge. I mean, he's as good of a pass rusher as I've seen. So when we get sacked, I mean, what do you tell them? You just tell them to keep getting better, and keep. Yeah, they're doing fine. They're both young. I mean, Spain's young and Edgar's young, and those guys will keep getting better. That's for sure.
As you get closer to your Go Blue game, do you narrow things down a little bit as to who you're looking at, so you get a better idea, or you keep it open because of the whole 3 days and it's the 5th week, final week?
Yeah, that will be just a scrimmage day, which I really haven't talked to Coach Stu much about it, but it needs to be another day where we run plays and film it and be able to learn from it more than anything. I mean, I don't know how you keep score or any of that. I really don't care. That's for, people in the stands to determine. I mean, who wins, the blue or the gold? I don't know. Who cares? I mean, we're a whole team here, and it's about being able to use that and utilize it to assess where we're at and to get it on film and be able to go inside and watch it and be able to learn from it more than anything.
You said you like Gino's. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said you like Gino's communication, the way he's gotten up there on the line, the tempo and everything. What have you not liked, if anything? What has he still got to work on to progress in your offense?
I can't say that I don't like anything. I mean, it's just a matter of him improving everything. I mean, his footwork needs to improve. His technique and fundamentals need to improve. His thought process needs to improve. Everything's good, but everything can get a little better.
Someone asked Sean also the other day about the big back in the offense and this place for it. He made what I thought was a pretty good point that a lot of people think of the smaller guys as they've never seen a big back in the offense. Is there something to that? Is there anything that would keep a guy his size from, or any restrictions in the offense?
The only thing that would keep us from not playing, Sean or a body type like Sean is if he doesn't catch the ball, if he doesn't block, and if he doesn't get yards when he runs. Now, whether he's 240 or that's talking about a guy that's 140, that's the same thing.
Has anything changed in the battle at running back, or is it still wide open?
The only thing that I see and I'm real fired up about the fullbacks still. Lindemood and Kovac. I mean, those guys are really playing hard, and Ryan Clark's actually done some things that have been pretty good. But the other guys, it's a daily battle. The Roberts kid probably has shown the most improvement here in the last week. Which I wouldn't have said that a week ago. But he's shown the most improvement here in the last week, and does that mean we have a starter? Nope, and we probably won't have one for a while.
In the portion that we saw today, it seemed like he got a lot more touches. Is that by design for the whole practice?
Somebody mentioned out here, you make plays, you get the ball. And that happens at receiver too. I mean, if you make a few plays, then you're probably going to get an opportunity to get the ball more.
Have you ever had a group of fullbacks this athletic before at any school you've been in?
I haven't. No, we had, two decent ones last year, but these two guys are more athletic than that guy. And he was first team All Big 12.